Yeah, Bree
Yeah,
said
she
doesn't
said that she doesn't.
complete it today. All right, I'm gonna see if we're live on YouTube.
Look at this.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
We got 2 black cats today. Hey, we're live. Thanks, Paul.
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled April live show. My name's Diana. This is my channel, Bookish Die. I primarily read science fiction, fantasy with a dash of romance and nonfiction. And we are joined by my resident void, Luke. And let's introduce ourselves. So, Rachel, you first.
Yep, I'm Rachel. My channel is Colonati. I read lots of science fiction and fantasy and nonfiction when I'm not spending the rest of my time working on fibercrafts. And yeah.
Kelsey?
That's it.
I'm Kelsey. My channel is The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. And I have lots of videos that I would like to film but have not actually been filming because I've been super distracted by my sweet new kitty who is committing crimes about the living room right now. I can lure her.
Should.
I can lure her at any moment with a churu. Shall I do so now?
Look at
Yes. We need sunshine.
I scared him off, but he was like fully like in a starfish position.
Uh-huh.
Here is she.
Aww. Little torty criminal.
Yeah.
She's so pretty. I think I've said this before, but I love the way that torties look. They're so beautiful.
Like
Birded the
Hermes
tree
is
all
like
over my
surprisingly active today. You can see his.
Is he hot? Is he like laying out to?
Yes, he's rolling around.
Look at the camera, miss. Yeah.
And running away and coming back and running away.
Leia's staked out the book throne, so I don't know if she'll be joining us today, which is why I'm on my couch instead of the throne.
I can see Luke's ears though.
Yeah, his little ears.
So 3 out of 4 cats and 1 dog.
Yes. Rhea, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Yes. So hey, I'm Rhea. My channel is The Bookfinch, and yay ho! I actually filmed and posted a video after like a year hiatus. So
You did, and it was a good one.
Let's hope that this is the start of something. But let's see. There's a lot of Hugo content that I want to do. So and usually I talk about comics and manga and all of that jazz.
So yeah, we had a special one-shot live show last week where we broke down our reactions to the Hugo shortlist. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. That's also on my channel, and I think it's been added to our playlist.
Yes.
And yeah, so do we want to talk about what we're making? Let's go in reverse order. So we'll start with Rhea.
I am making progress on the jumper, and it's slow going, but I'm still adamant that I shall have finished this by the time we go to Worldcon in Glasgow. I have made a promise to Rachel. I am trying to keep it, but we shall see. If I have to finish this in the airplane while I am traveling en route to Scotland, so be it.
You'll have to send photos because I am sadly not going to Worldcon this year.
But there's next year.
I mean, next year's in Seattle, which is either a 4-hour drive or a plane ride for me, or a train ride for me. So Seattle is 100% doable. Also, I will not be working on my 10-year dossier during that time. So
yes.
I will not be a bundle of stress and hate like I would be this year. Kelsey, are you working on anything?
I am not. Sorry, skip me.
All right, Rachel, what are you working on?
Kelsey's project is cat.
My project is cat.
Reminds me of the thing in Barbie movie when it's my job is beach.
Yes.
Oh my god! Speaking of the Barbie movie, so Ryan Gosling was hosting Saturday Night Live yesterday, and his opening monologue was a riff on All Too Well, but basically him saying goodbye to Ken.
Yeah.
And Emily Blunt, who's co-starring with him in a new movie, like broke in and she's like, "No, we're supposed to be promoting Fall Guy. You can't just keep talking about Ken." He's like, "But aren't you sad that Oppenheimer's done because of the whole Barbieheimer thing?" It was really funny. Like, if you can find a video of the song monologue, it's great. Sorry, that
I need to check it.
I watched that like this morning, so it's like fresh in my brain. Sorry, Rachel, what are you working on?
Me? Oh. I've started what's probably going to be a baby Afghan. So,
Aw.
so I don't know if anybody here watches Retro Claude on YouTube, but I'm a big fan of her knitting stash busting series that she's been doing for the last close to 2 years, I think. And a couple of days ago, she had a new episode out where she was like retallying all of her yarn stash to figure out where she was at, and it inspired me to actually like go weigh all of my yarn leftovers. I am terrified of my own yarn stash, let's just say that. But I pulled all of the stuff out of my closets and I realized I had enough like baby acrylic yarn that I could actually make a little Afghan out of it. So I'm hoping to get this done over the next week and have like half of my leftover yarn stash disappear.
Nice.
We're not going to talk about the main yarn stash though.
Also, let's see if today is the day when I finally switch to another skein. Because there's
having a severe game of yarn chicken there, Rhea.
Yeah, but the other skein is already
okay.
It's in standby.
Yeah, and then for me, what I'm working on is I'm still working on this scarf that I'm doing for a friend. So when we were doing the Rose City yarn crawl, I bought yarn for my own project and she bought yarn for this with the understanding that I would make her this scarf. So I'm slowly making my way through it. I've modified the pattern a little bit because there wasn't enough yarn that she'd like to do like the full gradient. Mm-hmm. So I'm instead just repeating some stuff. Yeah. So, yeah. Do we want to talk about what we've been reading?
Yes.
Kelsey, why don't you go first this time?
I read Ancillary Mercy since last week.
Oh, did you like it?
I liked it better than the middle book. I thought it was good. It was strong. I think for me, the first book in this trilogy had like an impact that neither of the subsequent books had. Mm-hmm. That I have a hard time putting my finger on. But I enjoyed it.
But the first book is like really, really good. So it's like really hard to also probably live up to what happens in it and how it's structured and everything.
Yeah. I have started to find some irony in the fact that the Anne Leckie book that I like always actually really wanted to read was The Raven Tower, and it's probably going to be the last book of hers that I get to because I will be reading all the Imperial Ratch books for the Hugo series this year.
I love The Raven Tower so much. I need to like just kind of
I thought it was going to be my first book of hers I would read, and I still haven't read it, and I'm going to read all of the others first.
I need to reread The Raven Tower soon. It's so good.
I have not read it yet. Maybe someday. But there's always other books that just...
I don't know how far back I should go in talking about things I have read, because like obviously that's the only thing I've read since last week, but last week was not a a normal live stream, but I did talk about other things I had been recently reading because they were also Hugo things.
Sorry, there's a cat and a butt.
And then I got 3 of the graphic story nominees out from the library. So this is the one I'm reading right now. Rachel, I saw on Goodreads you just finished this.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
I'm only through the first of the 3 chapters. Very interesting so far.
Yeah.
I'm excited to pick that up. I think I also have it out from the library, or
It
I have
is.
it out from the library.
Chunky. Like, I was not expecting this book to be so physically huge.
Yeah,
when
I knew it was
It is
big. You'll
It is
fly
a
through it,
true.
though.
It is a true graphic novel.
Yes.
is huge. And then I have Wonder Woman Historia out and Beowulf. Yeah, sweetie sunshine, what do you have to say? You want to come up? Up? No?
She's like, no, I will do chaos instead.
I will do chaos at your feet instead. Honestly, I read just like the first few pages of this and looked at the art style, and like, I'm not convinced this is going to be for me. Like the style of the humor and the art just like doesn't grab me right away. So this will probably be the 3rd one of these I read. I'm probably going to read this one next. And then the other thing that I'm reading right now, because I have been very good since last year about actually reading all of my pre-orders as soon as they arrive, is Dragon Fruit by Makia Lucier. So I'm only a few chapters into this, but it's got some really cool dragons so far. They're sea dragons, so they're like sea serpent creatures. And it's a sort of Pacific Islands inspired fantasy world. Very interesting.
I'm excited to hear what you have to say, because that looks really interesting, but I'm like trying to be better about not pre-ordering or buying books on a whim.
Have you read Year of the Reaper?
I have not.
Because that one I can tell you is good.
Okay.
The whole reason I pre-ordered this one was how much I liked Year of the Reaper, which was this author's previous book.
Okay, that's good to know.
So that's what I'm reading. And then the only other thing that I think I can talk about that I have read since our last regular live show was Stargazing Pie by Victoria Goddard. This is the first in like a Fantasy of Manners series that's part of her extended fantasy universe.
Mhm.
Is she the author of The Hands of the Emperor?
Yes.
Which I have started twice, and it's a chonker too.
I'm not sure I'm not sure I'm starting in the right place with her books, because all of the reading order suggestions say you should start with Hands of the Emperor, even though it's published after the first few books in this series that I'm reading and supposedly takes place after. So like it can't be necessary to read that first. It just can't be. However, the thing with Stargazing Pie is that it's like a fairly slight book in terms of like plot and substance, but it is so freaking confusing because there is so much world building. Like, it's this small town mystery that is just absolutely bonkers in every way imaginable. And I do imagine that some other like familiarity with historical events or whatever could help in understanding. But I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series. I expect it to be a series that will improve over the course of the books. Very intriguing. It's just one of those books that's sort of like not quite doing what you expect it to do in zany and surprising ways. Yeah. And that's a fairly long series that it's the first book of. It's the first book of the Greenwing and Dart series. Let's see how many books that is. Looks like there are 6 main books in that series as of now. So like, that's quite a few. Anyways, I feel like if that's all I have to talk about, then I'm going to be really boring for the whole rest of the stream because I have no media to talk about, no craft to talk about, just books. And like, those are all the books I'm done now. And
I have media to talk about.
Or my cat back up here.
Rachel,
I have plenty of stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
I have
Rachel,
actually been watching media too. Shocking. What have I been reading? Well, I had grand reading plans for this past week. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to read like 3 of the Lodestar nominees and get ahead on that short list. And that did not happen because I started reading A Benny Song by P. Djeli Clark. And I don't even know if anybody else has struggled with this. I'm almost halfway through it, and I'm pretty sure this has put me into a reading slump. Just...
But why? Is it
surprising at the halfway point, or it's just kind of ho-hum? I don't know. It's not really doing it for me. I hate to be a downer about something by Clark, but at this point, I'm kind of thinking that Clark is going to be one of those authors on my list of people that I really love their adult fiction, but when they pivot to middle grade or YA, I just don't.
Here's the thing.
That's fair.
That was me with the Master of Jinn. Everyone else was just like, this great book, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I've liked everything else by P. Djeli Clark, but this is the one where I'm like, no.
I enjoyed Master of Jinn, but Haunting of Tramcar 14 is always going to be my favorite for whatever reason. And that's a short little novella. So anyway, I will finish it. There's something major has just happened about the 40-45% point, and I'm wondering if the story might kind of kick into gear a bit more, but I frankly found it a little bit boring and dull, and it stopped me from getting to anything else. I just started reading To Shape a Dragon's Breath, by which I mean I got like a chapter into it before A Benny Song pulled me down. But my one success of the week that I did get read and that I loved was Shubek Lubek by Dina Muhammad. Yes, that big chunky graphic novel, which Kelsey could show. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I think it's worth reading the physical copy you can get your hands on. I had originally tried to read the ebook version, and I just found it really hard to see everything on a page. It's just with that particular art style. So yeah. But I flew through it, and I super enjoyed it. I also went into it pretty much cold. I knew that it had to do with wishes, and it was set in Cairo, and that was about it. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a very touching story about how the running theme in it is like what stands between you and your wish. And what that means for the various people from different parts of society, different privileges and stuff in the story. So I thought it was great. And I don't know if anything else in that category for the Hugo Awards is going to be able to top that one for me. So,
well, at least you already know like what like what your top pick is.
Yeah. So yeah, that was what I was really hoping to have more to talk about the Lodestar. Oh wait, I finished Oku.
Oh, the entire thing?
I did.
I have not finished the entire thing. I'm still stuck in like I think volume 10 or something.
It has taken me years, but I have read all 19 volumes of Oku the Inner Chambers. And I had to get every single one of them from Interlibrary Loan, which is why it took so freaking long.
But as long as, it's fine. You did it.
When did I start reading that? I feel like it was like 2018 or something when I started
I
reading
think
Oku.
you have been reading it at least for a few years.
You've been reading
and
it for at least as long as we've been doing Stitch and Bitch.
I think so.
I started reading it when I was trying to read the otherwise formerly the Tiptree Award nominees. I think I started that 2017 or 2018, but anyway. So yeah, I finished Oku, and it was a ride.
I bet.
For people who don't know, it's basically like a gender flipped history of Japan following the Tokugawa shogunate from, is it the 1600s up until the very early 1900s? Ish, I think.
Yeah, it's in the 1600s. It's pre-Dutch trading.
Yeah, I'm a bit fuzzy on the.
So it's like the very
dates.
end of 16th century, so the 1500s.
That makes sense. Yeah, this is a series that in the beginning, the choice was made to translate the Japanese into English as almost like Elizabethan English to match the archaic way that people were talking at the time. And I guess the Elizabethan age would have been potentially contemporary with the beginning of the story. So, yeah. Thankfully, the entire series is not that way, but it was an interesting choice with the translation. So, but yeah, I finished that and don't know what big long manga series I'll start now, but
Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
That's not going to happen. Also, Ramsey is reading Burnham Wood by Eleanor Catton, and he's in the chat. And that book is a trip.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, but yes, it's a bit nutty, and everybody's crazy, and nothing really goes right.
But Rachel, don't change the subject. Why won't you read Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah, I need to know. I need reason.
I need to know why you would do.
Appealed to me in the same way that I've never read or Naruto.
It's seriously like a series that I point to as like a way where the creator successfully used long-term storytelling, where she like knew where she was going the entire way.
Yes.
And builds to that really successfully, and the characters are so good.
How long is this series?
If you read the hardcover editions, it's only 17 volumes. Because the hardcover volumes have like 2 volumes for each. The hardcover edition. So
But here's the thing: it's an older series. It's really popular, so it'll be easier to get your hands on.
I mean, your library would probably have these editions. These are the, like, I sold my entire Full Metal Alchemist collection. I already had the 27 volumes in paperbacks so that I could upgrade them into this.
Okay, see, Ramsey also agrees that Full Metal Alchemist is
Full Metal Alchemist is like
my library has.
Here's the thing: Full Metal Alchemist, my favorite manga series of all time. Delicious in Dungeon has not topped this. Chainsaw Man has not topped this. I've read so much manga over the years, and this is still my favorite manga series of all time. And I will fight people with my bare fists. This is the one hill I will die on.
You're in luck. My library has the entire flippin' series in the omnibus edition.
Good.
Good.
Excellent. excellent.
first one is even at my local library. I will put it on hold
I
so
mean,
nobody
I
else can
also
grab it.
have the entire Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood anime on DVD,
I
and
need
I
to
have
get the
watched
Blu-ray
it
of
5 times.
I need to get the Blu-ray of that because I can never remember
Yeah.
what streaming service it's on.
See, the thing is that I watched both of the anime series, but Brotherhood, because it sticks closer to the original manga story, it's better in my opinion. Even though the original like 2003 anime series has like hands down some of the most iconic anime soundtracks, because Brothers is a freaking banger. But like this is just like I watched it myself, and then I've converted like at least 7 people to liking Full Metal Alchemist by making them watch Brotherhood, where I would just sit my friends down and just look at them like this while they watch the series, because I have already seen everything, and then I'm just watching that they have the correct reactions to all the important scenes
The correct
and all the
reaction.
important characters. I'm invested in this.
Yeah. Anyway, it's
I officially promise I
Yeah.
will read the first 3 volumes in one by the next live show.
okay. Good.
Yeah, Ramsey is correct. The Brotherhood does cut some stuff, like certain character interactions, especially the Ishwalan war
Mhm.
is a little bit condensed. So I would I actually think that Brotherhood works better as a companion kind of to the manga, that you've already enjoyed the manga and then you want to like see it animated. It works better that way rather
So
than.
is this when I'm forced to confess that I've only seen the anime and not read the manga? Because
I mean, you can also
but
read manga.
which anime? Which
Brotherhood.
version?
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine. But I would also
It's
urge you
just
to
that like
read the
I
manga.
have no motivation to read things after I've already seen an adaptation. It's a thing with me.
I'm the opposite. I usually like if I watch an anime, I'm like, okay, I will check what this is about now in the manga.
Mm.
Like what I originally saw Jujutsu Kaisen the first season, the anime, and then I went and read the manga, and then I realized, oh, actually I prefer the anime adaptation to the manga because Gege does not know how to tell a story without expositing everything in like 5-page essays.
Tell us how you really feel, Raya.
Yes.
Speaking of, do you want to talk about what you've been reading since you just were talking about reading the Jujutsu Kaisen?
Well, I read the 13th volume of Delicious in Dungeon just like the other week, and it was so twisted and so dark. It's like I can't wait. I still can't believe that they're gonna end the series in like the next volume. Like 14 volumes are out in Japan, and from what I understand, it ends in the next volume. And I'm like, how are they gonna finish it? I mean, I believe that Ryoko Kui has the ability, but I wonder how is she gonna finish this story in one volume?
I saw jokes that she finished it up in 14 so she would have time to play Baldur's Gate 3, which, if it's true, I respect that.
Yes, I mean, yes. I mean, to be fair, I'm sure that she has the capability, because it's like I can see where it's going, like how I can see how it would end, but at the same time I'm wondering if there will be enough time to kind of breathe to see like all the character resolutions. But yeah, it was good. It was really good. And then I also finished 4 volumes of Chainsaw Man. I've now seen all of the messy bits, and Chainsaw Man is good. I still maintain. It took me a while to realize that Chainsaw Man actually takes place in an alternative 90s and not the 80s, because it still has the Soviet Union, but it's just an alternative timeline where the Soviet Union never actually fell apart.
Huh.
And it takes place in like the late 90s. I've just been like reading the whole series thinking, yeah, this is 80s because Soviet Union, or like early 90s. But no, it's like 1997. And yeah, I'm still reading The Left-Handed Booksellers. of London, which I have been quite enjoying. I'm like 70 pages in.
Merlin is the best.
Merlin, I kind of feel I feel like I relate to Merlin in a lot of ways. Like, he's a really interesting character.
In the second book, he spends a lot of the book, I think, dressed in full like Regency kit, like women's Regency kit, carrying a carpet bag around. He gets stuck somewhere where he has to use the carpet bag as a weapon, I think. And every time I see a carpet bag now, I think not Mary Poppins carpet bag, but Merlin carpet bag. So
that's the strength of a character when you have that kind
just
of like
I want Merlin to show up with his trusty carpet bag and whatever outfit he feels like that day.
I'll have you know that I have successfully switched to the next skein of yarn.
That was fast.
It happened. But yeah, basically that's what I've been reading. I haven't made any progress in the Hugo stuff other than, left-handed booksellers of London. And oh yeah, I finished volume 10 of Cherry Magic as well, which it made me cry a bit. It was so cute. I'm happy when my gays are happy.
Is that it, Rhea?
Yes. That's
all right. So I can't remember what I talked about from last time, but some stuff I read in like the back half of March. So I was doing the Trans Rights Readathon. So I read the last book in Yoon Ha Lee's middle grade series, Fox Snare. And overall, it's pretty enjoyable. It's definitely on the shorter side for the Rick Riordan Presents books. And there was stuff that I felt like could have been expanded on, but it was like a solid 3.5. It was enjoyable. I can see kids liking it. I like the science fantasy aspects of it. I also read a novella, it was, I think it's These Fragile Graces, This Fugitive Heart by Izzy Wasserstein. It came out this year, and it's like this futuristic dystopian noir book, and it gets a little too heavy on the noir for my taste. Like, there were times where it felt like the author was really forcing it. But the thing that happens in this book that I can't not talk about this book and mention. So has anyone ever seen those Tumblr posts, or that Tumblr post? It's basically like, would you fuck your clone? And it's like all these different responses.
Yeah.
Tell me about a Tumblr post I haven't seen.
This book comes out on, yes, I would fuck my clone. And I will give no further context. Like, when it was happening, I was like, oh, I guess we're doing this.
Yep.
I also read and really loved The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. So this is her new book. It's like a fantasy. It's historical fantasy / horror.
I just saw it today when I went to the bookstore. I was like, what? And it's like it's like what, Canada in 1917 or something like that.
So it starts in Canada, and that was like what made me interested in it, because I've read some of her middle grade horror books and liked them, and I heard that this book, the main character is a nurse from Halifax in World War I, and my mom's family is all in Nova Scotia, and the Halifax explosion is like a very big deal, but it's not something that gets talked a lot about in the States. And so I was really interested. I went to go see her at an event at Powell's, and just listening to her talk about the research that she was doing, like not just, histories after the fact of the war, but also reading journals and letters that were written during World War I was just really fascinating. So I checked out the audiobook, and it's really well done. I really enjoyed it. So it's something that doesn't really shy away from how horrific World War I is, and how it kind of was this liminal space where you have the beginnings of modern warfare, but you also have artifacts from warfare from previous centuries. Like I said, it was really good, really interesting. I really enjoyed it. And then I read the second to last Penrick and Desdemona novellas. And now I'm like putting off reading The Demon's Daughter because I don't want to be caught up.
Maybe that's the reason I haven't finished it yet. I don't want the series to be over for now.
Yeah. Oh, I also read Cameron Hurley's The Light Brigade because I'm doing the Magical Readathon, and one of the prompts that I needed for Thread Mage was read a book. You do a random number generator for letters and a title, and I got 15 letters, and The Light Brigade was like one of the only books that I own that had 15 letters in the title. Like so many had like 14 or 16. It was actually really funny how like, because I was counting like, okay, we're getting, nope, that's 14. Nope, that's 16. It was good. I enjoyed it. The ending felt a little rushed, but it was solid military sci-fi. So yeah, that's what I've been reading.
Have you been enjoying the Magical Readathon this time around, or
Yeah,
has it started yet?
Yeah, so I'm actually reading a couple of other things as well. So I'm reading The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova.
I love that book.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm about halfway through. I'm hoping to finish it today. But one of the prompts was like put 3 books in a hat and choose one. And so this was the one that got picked. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And then not for the Magical Readathon. I started this last month and I need to finish it. The Unbroken by C.L. Clark.
Ah, yes.
I'm enjoying it. It's just I'm going through it slowly.
Sometimes it feels like a little rough around the edges, but like it's good. I think it fits because the main character, like the main point of view character, is also like kind of like rough around the edges, not very educated about things, and just like full of trauma.
Yeah.
But like it's really good book.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying both of those books. It's just with The Unbroken, I have to like, I feel like I need to take my time with it just because it's much more dense than some of the other books I'm reading.
Yeah, it can get a little graphic at times.
Yeah. But yeah, I have not done any Hugo reading yet. That will be my May project, is Hugo's.
It basically same. Also, I'm waiting for like a million things to come from the library.
What does the ballot do?
I'm not sure because they haven't obviously they haven't released the voter packet yet either.
Yeah, I guess it's probably going to be July sometimes.
Yeah. Well, if the con starts like in the first week of August, I would think that they will close the voting like 2 weeks before, at least.
Yeah, so sometime in July.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about. I was going to say we've talked about what we're making. We've talked about what we're reading. Do we also want to talk about what else we've been consuming media-wise?
Yes, I've had really good media week. Like
I've
really
had
good
media too. Maybe Rachel and Kelsey, because I think both Ray and I are going to have a lot to talk about. Do either of you have things to talk about?
I can mention mine very quickly. I want you to know that I will be starting season 1 of Strange New Worlds this evening. I've convinced my parents to try it for our Sunday evening television.
Oh, I'm excited. I love Strange New Worlds a lot. Anson Mount is a very, like, his captain is very much like the team dad. And I like complimentary, not team dad derogatory.
So does Strange New, does it take place at the same time as Discovery, or
it takes place after Discovery season 2?
Okay.
It says that it's about Commander Pike.
Yeah, so in Discovery season 2, for reasons, Commander Pike becomes the temporary captain of the Discovery. And this picks up after the season 2 finale.
Okay.
And so this takes place about 5-ish years before the original series.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so
I'm gonna have to explain this to my mom this evening, and I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to tell her the timeline.
I will say, in terms of like characters you're familiar with, so Pike does show up in the original series for like 2 episodes where they repurpose the original pilot. Uhura is on the Enterprise. She's a cadet. Spock is there. Nurse Chapel is there, and then Dr. Mbega, he's like in a couple of episodes in the original series. He's the chief medical officer right now.
Okay. Well, I'll report back. I also have season 2 waiting for me at the library. I just put it all on hold, and I got them both immediately. So, yep. So I'll be watching that, and the only other thing that I have actually watched is I started watching Bodies on Netflix with Paul on Friday. I'm only 2 episodes in, but we've already gotten to a bit that made us go, what? We need the next episode. And
What's
if
it
anybody
about?
doesn't know Bodies, it's a mini-series, I think, about basically a dead guy shows up in 4 different timelines, but in the same place, exactly identical, and the death is being investigated or dealt with in each of those timelines differently.
Okay.
So it is pretty sci-fi. It has a future timeline in it as well. So
one of my friends was watching it and really liked it, so I'll have to check it out at some point.
It's got some interesting cinematography so far. They're definitely finding interesting ways to kind of switch between the timelines and shift scenes and stuff. So,
but it's live action? Live action?
Yes.
Okay.
Kelsey, did you have anything?
I've been racking my brain to think if I have watched a single solitary thing, and I think the answer is no. Like in the last month. The only thing I can come up with is to say that I have listened to the new Beyonce album, and it's actually very enjoyable, and this surprised me given that I have not previously been a fan of either Beyonce or country music.
This new Beyonce album is country music?
It is a country, or at least country adjacent.
Yeah, it's country.
Cowboy Carter, right? I mean,
yeah,
I did
country.
I did know that like, she covers Jolene, I think.
She does a version.
It is like a sort of a treatise in album form of what country music means to Beyonce. As a Black woman from the South in the music industry. And so not everything on the album is strictly country, but it's all sort of revolving around the theme of like country music in Black America. And it's got a lot of like, you know, interstitial tracks between the main numbers, and it is kind of worth, you know, sitting down and listening to the whole thing, including all of the in-between bits, to kind of get the full picture of what she's trying to do with this album. It's worth listening to if you're interested in, you know, American music genres.
I'm curious why you listened to it if you weren't previously a fan of either things.
It was there on Spotify, and it was causing, like, you know, critical debate on
everywhere,
social and traditional media.
Oh, speaking of things in Spotify, Epic the Musical, the next saga will be released on the 26th of April, and I can't wait. It's the Underworld saga. They're going to the Underworld. I don't know if they're gonna meet Hades or Persephone yet, but like there's things happening in the underworld. I can't wait. And the creator Jay Herons has like been posting like all these like trailers, like which he has been working together with like fan animators, like commissioned work from them to like animate some of the trailers for the songs in anticipation for the release. And I'm just like hype.
I will say I have enjoyed the storytelling in it more while watching the animations. If I just
Yeah.
listen to the music, I'm like, oh, okay, that was a song. But I really like the is it the fan animations you sent me or whatever?
Yeah.
Those were
There's like a whole community. Like I'm considering. I haven't yet taken the plunge and actually joined the Epic the Musical Discord, but they have a Discord server.
Everything
there's
has a Discord server.
there's like everything. I follow the creator on YouTube, and like he posts like videos and like basically like going over the process of like how he approaches the like lyrics and like the music and the themes and stuff, and it's like it's great. And also I follow a lot of the fan animators as well. I'm eagerly still anticipating Wolfie the Witch making Ruthlessness like as an they have posted like snippets, and it's been 3 months and they still haven't published it, so it's taking apparently longer than anticipated because they have ambitious storyboards apparently. They posted like one short and was like, this is gonna take some time. 3 months later, crickets.
And it's just one person working on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Sometimes they live stream and like show what they're doing. But yeah, I watched the so Mappa, Studio Mappa released a movie on Netflix called Maboroshi, which was pretty damn good. I enjoyed it. There are some questionable content in it, but at the same, like the animation, beautiful. I hope some of the animators got to see their families during the time they were working on the film, because Mappa is notorious for basically doing like horrible crunch and horrible like working conditions for their animators. That said, the animation did look really freaking fantastic, and it has been their first original story that has been like, it's not an adaptation of anything, it's an original story. And basically it is a story where this industrial accident happens in this town, like a steel factory kind of blows up, and that creates kind of like an alternative time loop thing where time doesn't move forward. They're stuck in like this never-ending winter. It's basically like a time loop. It's a Groundhog's Day situation, except everyone remembers even after the time resets. So everyone is kind of mentally growing up and like living all these years in this like thing, and they don't know if it's reality or not. But it's like it's basically like a rift in reality of when that. So basically they are living the last winter, like eternally living the last winter of like before the factory blew up. And then there's this boy who like basically there's this group of kids and they interact with this strange girl that lives in the kind of now abandoned factory. And they're kind of like trying to figure out like where she came from and like how she's the only one basically aging in the place. And it was really good. It's like part romance, part kind of like science fiction Twilight Zone sort of thing, and also kind of like Stranger Things, because the initial thing takes place in the 90s, so it kind of like so it kind of like they're stuck in like this kind of 90s era thing, and it was really good. I would recommend it. There is some like questionable stuff, but it's like it's really good.
When you say questionable, do you mean
There's
adult?
So all of the main characters are children, and there's this one specific scene where there's like an intimate moment shown between the two children, and I personally feel like that was maybe slightly gratuitous. I would not necessarily show those kinds of scenes with minors in that way, but luckily they were short and they were not really like I don't think they were meant to be sexy, if that makes sense. But it was a little like I was kind of like raising my eyebrows, kind of like, really? This is how we're gonna do it? This you chose this way to portray this moment? Okay.
Is it also a case of they're not physically aging, but they're mentally aging?
Yes.
So
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because like they know that their time, like they remember everything. So time is moving forward for them mentally, but like the physical time is like in a loop. But yeah, it was good. It was good. And then I've been watching Frieren, Beyond the Journey. I started it. I had full-on hype resistance because like everyone was raving about Frieren, how amazing it is, and then my brain is like, even when I like a thing and when I'm like planning on watching it, the moment I have a bunch of people telling me that I should watch a thing, I'm like, well, now I'm not doing it. And then I just have to wait until that part of my brain gets unclogged. And so, yeah, now I could finally watch Frieren. I'm like in episode 7. And Frieren is really good. Dai, if you like Full Metal Alchemist, I feel like you would enjoy Frieren.
Oh, where is it airing?
It's in Crunchyroll. And I think also there's it's an adaptation of a manga, so the manga has also been licensed.
I'll see, because sometimes some Crunchyroll, like Spy X Family, is also on Hulu, so I might check Hulu to see if it's showing up there.
But like the idea basically is that Frieren is an elf, and the story starts with her party coming back to town after they have defeated like the Dark Lord, essentially. And it kind of picks up, like she goes on these adventures and then intermittently she comes back and all of her party members, they're aging and eventually kind of like dying and stuff. And this is just the starting episodes, like, so her old party kind of like due to age and stuff, like they're no longer with her. And it's about all this like connection and because she's been her concept of time is completely different to other people because she doesn't age as fast and as rapidly. So she has this trouble of like really making connections with people because she's like, well, I'm gonna make connections. I'm gonna get to know these people later. And yeah, but it's like really good.
Okay, like I said, I'll look at Hulu and see if it's there, and I'll also see if my library has the manga.
But yeah, those are the things I've been watching. Also, obviously, been keeping up with Delicious in Dungeon. Studio Trigger is like, first of all, one of my favorite studios ever because like Little Witch Academia is one of my favorite animes. It's basically like if you want an inclusive like magical school setting, kind of like inspired by Worst Witch, you should watch Little Witch Academia. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's on Netflix. And just that fluidity of animation that Trigger is known for, it's like amped to 11 in Delicious in Dungeon, and they add all these little quirks to the animation and stuff. It's like really like wonderful to look at.
So speaking of Delicious in Dungeon, the English voice actor for Laos, he's been like wearing shirts or been doing things like saying like I'm fighting on the war on autism, or I'm fighting the war on autism on the side of autism and stuff. And people have been like redrawing like stuff that he's been wearing as Laos. It's been really cute.
Yeah, I mean, Laos is also like super autistically coded.
Oh yeah, it's very much like he's going
leaning into it.
Yeah.
Ramsey, yeah, I mean, Studio Trigger has done Kill la Kill and also the Darling XX Frank, which is super. Yeah. Darling XX Frank is basically about mecha pilots, and you can only pilot a mecha if you have a couple, like an heterosexual couple, like piloting the mech together in very compromising positions. So they have a track record of like working on really how do you say interesting material, very like I would call it almost soft erotica. But and that is why I'm also surprised that they've done Little Witch Academia, which is very non-sexual, and also Delicious in Dungeon.
I mean, they kept the Senshi panty shot.
This was what I wanted to talk about. There's so much panty flashes from Senshi. This is the equality that we need. The only person who gets constantly panty flashed in Delicious in Dungeon is Senshi. In every episode, you see Senshi's underwear.
I have noticed that. It was very in your face in at least one instance.
Yeah, and you don't see Senshi's underwear as much in the manga. You see some, but they have added Senshi panty shots.
They know their audience.
Yes, they have at least increased them by like 50%. And I'm here for it. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm a bit concerned about the episodes I need to catch up on now because I didn't notice that, and I was.
Now you will see it and be like, oh. No.
I was left a little uncomfortable with that.
But at least Senshi is an adult dwarf man instead of a teenager.
Yes.
Yeah.
And most of the time it makes sense. He wears a very short skirt or tunic.
So is that it for you, Ray? Or...
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
All right, so mine is somewhat related. So Ramsey was saying he's hyped to see the Phantom Menace back on the big screen. I am so sad I won't be able to do that, but it's because I'll be at Disney World that day. So I'll be at Hollywood Studios on May the 4th. So I'll be doing Galaxy's Edge then, and I am very excited. But yeah, so for me, I have been very slowly catching up with Star Wars The Bad Batch. It's the current animated show. And I had fallen off in mid-season 1. So I went back and rewatched what I'd already seen. And now I'm mid-season 2. And it's a show that, like, it definitely has gotten better. And it's also so wild to see how much better the animation in this show is from early Clone Wars episodes. Because it's, like, pretty much the same style, but the animation has just drastically improved. And I really enjoy all the clones are dads. That's like, well, because they have, so it's the Special Forces clone trooper group, and they end up stealing / adopting a younger clone. Her name is Omega. And they're on the run, and they're trying to figure out, like, how do they protect Omega? How do they operate in the new empire? And you're also getting some political stuff as well. And yeah, and the reason I'm catching up is the season that's currently airing is the final season. So I'm trying to get caught up in time for the finale. And my favorite villain / anti-hero, Asajj Ventress, came back, and it's been so long, and they like kind of retconned her death in Dark Disciple, and that's like the one thing where I'm like, you know, like Star Wars animation retconning books is so annoying, but I won't have any ground to stand on if they retconned the end of Dark Disciple, which they did. So like, I'm owning it. I'm fine with them retconning that. And then This is coming out on May the 4th, but they released the trailer for Star Wars Tales of the Empire. So they do these kind of, and they did it last year, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, where it's like 6 shorts, 3 focused on Count Dooku, 3 focused on Ahsoka. And so they announced a companion to that, Tales of the Empire, where you're having 3 episodes focused on Morgan Elsbeth, who is a character introduced in The Mandalorian, and she also showed up in the Ahsoka series. And then 3 episodes focused on yet another character we have not heard from in over a decade, Barriss Offee, and poor girl is going through it. And I'm very excited and also deeply concerned for her mental health. So I've been watching that. I finished my Dark Urge playthrough of Baldur's Gate.
I'm just planning on here's the thing. I have not even finished fully my playthrough of my main tab. I'm just sticking around in Baldur's Gate, basically, refusing to do any of the end quest stuff because I'm just tying up loose ends. But I did start a Dark Urge playthrough.
Okay, so since you haven't done the endgame, my big advice, stock up on Misty Step and Dimension Door scrolls.
Okay.
You will need them.
Well, good to... Here's the thing. I have so many scrolls that I'm just gathering dust in the camp. So... Have Astarion rob Sorceress Sundries a couple of times. That should get you what you need. Good to know. What kind of Dark Urge did you do? What class?
I did Resist. I did a Resist Urge. At some point, I'm going to do a Murder Hobo Dark Urge run, but I have to be in the right mind space for that.
Okay, so my Dark Urge playthrough is probably going to take me a long time because I'm planning to do a full Murder Hobo, basically do the opposite of what I did with this tab. So basically I want the Goblin party instead of the Tiefling party. Those who know. I want Minthara in my party.
You can get her without doing the Goblin party.
I know, but for it to make sense with my fantasy, I'm also going to ascend Astarion with the Dark Urge.
So basically you're doing all bad choices.
Basically. So I'm also going to be an Oathbreaker
you're also
paladin.
Dark Justiciar or Shadowheart.
I'm also going to be an Oathbreaker paladin. I haven't broken the oath yet, but
yeah,
that is my plan. Oathbreaker paladin.
Yeah, so I finished that on Tactician, which now that I've done the Tactician run, I never have to do it again. I got the achievement. I got the little trophy. So yeah, and then I started a new playthrough of Jedi Fallen Order because I want to try to platinum the game, but it's probably going to be kind of something I do slowly. And then the other thing I've been watching, which has been a ton of fun, is I finally subscribed to Dropout. So this is what's formerly known as College Humor. And so they do Dimension 20. So this is a D&D actual play series. And they also do a bunch of game shows. And the reason I subscribed to Dropout is they have this one show called Game Changer, where the game changes every time. The players don't know ahead of time what the game is, and they have to learn the rules as they go. And watching it from the beginning, I'm in season 4 right now out of 6. You can see the games get more and more chaotic as the show goes on. And there's this one, and then they have some recurring games. So one is called Make Some Noise, and they spun it out into its own show where the contestants are given a prompt and they have to make the noise or act out the scene. And it's really fun. It's really chaotic. I highly recommend just even watching on YouTube, Game Changer, because one of the other recurring themes in it is the guy who DMs a lot of the Dimension 20 stuff, Brennan Lee Mulligan. He's very competitive and he wants to win. And sometimes the host, Sam Reich, like designs games just to break Brennan.
Okay.
It's really funny. I really recommend at least trying it out. It's a lot of fun. And then yeah, I think and the other thing I've been enjoying is sports, because I'm me. So the women's college basketball season ended at South Carolina. So I was like checking the score when we were doing our Hugo live show last week, because the national championship for the women's basketball or college division 1 was happening, and South Carolina went undefeated, which is wild considering that they lost their entire starting lineup from the previous year. And no one was everyone was expecting them to be good because Dawn Staley is a really good coach and she recruits very well, but no one was expecting them to go undefeated. So yeah, and then the WNBA draft is on Monday, and it should be an interesting season. And hopefully Diana Taurasi announces she's retiring, because I'm ready for her to be gone. I'm ready for her to ride off into the sunset and not be around anymore. Look, I have been holding a grudge against that woman for almost 20 years now. I am throwing a party when she retires.
What did she do to you?
I mean, the main thing is in 2005, when the Phoenix Mercury were playing the Sacramento Monarchs, RIP, she injured one of the Monarchs players and like ran across the court. It was like, I didn't do anything. And the player was out for a few games with a sprained shoulder. And just more generally, I find her really arrogant and a bully, and I don't like her.
So she's a player.
She's a heel, to use wrestling terms. She's the heel of the league.
Okay.
Like if someone like Asia Wilson or Neko Gumake I would say those are like the face players. Diana Taurasi is a heel.
Okay.
I don't know what any of this means.
Me neither. I'm just humor.
And in wrestling, face characters are like face wrestlers are the heroes, and the heels are the villain.
But this is not wrestling, right?
No, but I find that's like a good like a good way to reference it is like a heel, and that's how you get things that's how you get the trope heel face turn or face heel turn, where someone goes from being like the villain to a hero or a hero to a villain.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I just remembered, since we were talking about the Dark Urge playthrough with like all the bad choices, do you want to know what my friend told me?
What?
That if I want to make all the bad choices, I should romance Gale in this playthrough.
No. No.
And I was just like, ouch, that's a burn. That's a burn.
I'd rather just
for fun, I did start a Carlac
on Instagram. No Gale.
I'm saying though, I'm not even sure if Gale would be up for a romance. I haven't seen anyone play a completely chaotic, like an evil character, and romance Gale, because I don't know if Gale is like.
I think you need to play up his ambition.
Yeah.
And like indulge his worst impulses.
Yeah. I think that's like that's easy.
No.
I just need to lose all self-respect that I have for myself.
Yeah, I started a Carlac origin run for fun, and I think I'm gonna have her romance Minthara.
Is
yes.
Carlac
Let's go lesbians.
Yes.
Who's the really tall demon lady?
That's Carlac.
That's Carlac. Okay. She's a tiefling. And then Minthara is hot evil drow lady.
Yes.
I got close to romancing her, but I was committed to romancing Asteria in my last run.
One of my favorite to be fair, this is like I haven't seen this actually, but I've also been watching like Baldur's Gate 3 playthroughs like at times. And one of my favorite Minthara voice lines is that you have severe second sun
No,
energy.
third son.
Third sun energy, because like in the Drow like world, it's like if you are third son, you're essentially sacrificed to Loth.
Yeah,
Like
Minthara.
you are completely useless.
Minthara dunking on Gale in party conversation is great. Like it's one of my favorite things. It's like I'm so glad I saved her for my Dark Urge playthrough, just because she is so like she's just low key really funny.
Yes. I'm kind of sad that in my like on my first half playthrough, I completely killed her.
Yeah, I screwed that up on my first half playthrough.
I did not even let her really like. She had all the spiels and talks, and I was like, nope, we're not gonna do it.
I had to be really careful with my Dark Urge keeping her alive because I was playing an Oath of Ancient Paladin, which means you can't just like randomly attack someone to get the threatened condition without breaking your oath. So I had to. I would send Astarion to do it. I was like, Astarion, go attack.
Yeah, that's the trouble with playing. Like I'm also currently like, because I'm playing a paladin, and I don't want to break my oath just yet, but I do want to break it in time for because when you go to the Underdark, you get like, so when you become an Oathbreaker paladin, you basically have the ability to like control the dead, depending on like the type of Oathbreaker you become, and you get a lot. Like Underdark is basically you going around and gathering Tamagotchis and pets that you can summon for your evil army. So I'm trying to break my oath for that, but let's see. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not even playing honor mode.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I'm ever gonna try honor mode. Like that's just like another level of stress.
Yes.
At some point, so I do like platinuming games, and there is one achievement which is going to be a pain in the ass, but should be really fun, and it's basically multi-class into everything without respecking with withers. So it's basically taking level 1 in everything throughout the game.
Ah. So what else do we want to talk about? I think everyone has talked about the books and media and all of the stuff. Do we have any drama? Has any drama happened? This has been a slow week.
Okay, so here's the thing. I have seen drama, but it was all stupid purity culture shit. It's basically just like romance books shouldn't have sex. There's a porn addiction going on. And
I heard something.
Please stop.
I heard something about like there being drama on Book Talk, precisely because apparently Book Talk recommends only like smut and like dark romance books, and there's been a huge kerfuffle about that. And
want to guess why the algorithm keeps recommending those videos? It's because when people see only that, it makes them want to make videos complaining about it, and that drives the algorithm.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the reason I'm not on Threads, is because I've heard Threads, the algorithm is basically taking the worst parts of Twitter and expanding on it in terms of like showing you things that will make you angry.
Threads is owned by Meta, which owns Facebook, and Facebook has the algorithm which is basically just like fueling boomer hatred at the moment because nobody else uses Facebook anymore.
There's no reason I haven't been on Facebook in 5 years.
I know.
6 years.
It's because there was an exodus of millennials and Gen Z that now it's a like a boomer hellhole.
Literally, the
Basically.
only people I was friends with on Facebook who were active were my boomer relatives who really wanted to talk about politics. And I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Ramsey's like, finally drama. What I'm here for.
Yeah, it's because we've been talking about it in one of the Discord servers I'm in, and for someone who like has been seeing, because there was someone on Twitter who was like, I'm tired of these cartoon covers, like they're just leading to teens reading smut because it's not like distinct enough. And it's like, okay, but I mean, granted, like I am not a fan of the illustrated cover trends, but that's just because I think it makes the covers look really samey, especially when so many of them are using like, I mean, I think Lonnie Kaufman is.
Do also think it's genuinely confusing that the same cartoon cover trend sort of took off at the same time, both in YA contemporary and in adult romance.
Yes.
And if you don't know how to look at the difference between the two, you could pick up the wrong thing.
Honestly, I don't even know how to look at the difference between the two. Usually I have to read the synopsis or look at the price tag in the thing to
that's
figure it out.
putting in too much work. Things should just be served to you on a platter.
Yes.
See, I'm not used to that. I have been raised by an Eastern European mother.
Yeah, so the thing for me with illustrated covers is I do think they look very samey. Like, I think Lenny Kaufman is a fine artist, but like it's gotten to the point where I feel like she's oversaturated in the romance market, and like a lot of her stuff just looks very similar to me, and so it's like not doing enough to distinguish itself. And that's like, for example, I'm gonna pull up the cover real quick. And I'll share it on my screen.
Yes, Ramsey. There's been an upsurge in orc smut and
or any kind of
romance.
Or here's the thing. I mean, not only women but also other people in like finally all of us monster lovers have heard and seen. Finally, after all these years. We're mainstream, baby.
Okay, I'm having issues trying to figure out how to share the screen. So instead of that, if you look at the cover for A Lot Like Adios by Alexis Daria, like that's an example of an illustrated cover that I think does a really good job of being like
a lot like what?
I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. But it does a really good job of being distinctive, giving you a sense of like what the content is. It shows the character, like the main characters actually interacting and touching each other. So I think
these look like adults. Like these are like two adult characters.
If there were more illustrated covers like that, I would be much less salty. But I think the illustrated covers are one, very like a lot of them look very similar, and two, I don't know if it does a good enough job of representing the content in the books, like not in a think of the children way, but in it is actually genuinely difficult for me looking at these covers to see like, is this a rom-com? Is this high heat? Is this gonna be like have some sad stuff? Like for me as a person who likes romance, it makes it more difficult for me to gauge what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And that's my critique of like illustrated covers. Not think of the children. Instead, it's more of like, I'm just genuinely frustrated that it is hard to tell what's inside.
I'm thinking of some that I've read recently, like the KJ Charles's Regency Gentleman books that I really enjoyed. And the covers in those, they're a little bit more designed. They're a bit more floral, like they've kind of got that frame around them. But when I when I look at that style of cover, I think something kind of cute and whimsical and, and they're actually pretty darn high heat
Yeah,
queer
KJ Charles,
romances,
like,
and you would not know that from the cover.
I was
I mean,
back.
I think that's kind of part of what may have been driving the trend to begin with, is that
Getting
some
more people to
readers
read them.
don't want to read a print book
Mhm.
in public that looks on the cover like it is high heat. But they want to read those books in print.
Here's the thing. We need, like, why can't we just bring the trend that Japan has been doing for ages and get like these they're basically kind of like these fabric dust jackets that you put on books precisely because you don't want to see people.
Do those work on paperbacks or only on hardcovers?
Like 90% of Japan's, like, they're basically like paperbacks. Like,
so are
like
they're not
like they're
I'm
designed
trying to
mostly
envision
for
what you're describing.
like visual, like paperback novels, like tankobon manga, for example.
Yeah.
Like for example, if you want to read your boys love hardcore smut on the subway and not like attract looks from people, you would put like one of these covers on top.
That's so excellent.
Yes.
That's what we should be doing instead of the cartoon covers that actually confuse consumers.
Yes. And imagine then, all the bookstores would have another item that they could sell in the capitalist hellscape. Look at all these nice alternative covers, these fabric coverlets that you can have for your book that are also protective, and you can let others know about your reader personality.
I can just tell there's an Etsy shop already doing
that.
Oh,
for sure. For sure.
Yeah, so it, like, watching the thing was just kind of,
I feel like we all have very lukewarm takes on this particular tea.
Yeah. I don't see what the drama is, to be honest. And the whole thing was like, there was some interesting stuff that I saw on Instagram, because I'm not on TikTok and I don't plan to be. So I watch TikToks on Instagram, like all the boomers.
And I do too. I'm not on TikTok. I just watch them on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. I watch them on Instagram like a week after they've been uploaded to TikTok, like normal people. And what someone said was basically like, people, like, it's not that there is no critical, like, literary content on TikTok, but a lot of TikTok book content is more based on like entertainment value, and entertainment value does not necessarily correlate to literary value. Like these two things can overlap, but sometimes people just want entertainment. And some of the like smut books is like, people are aware that they're not necessarily like the best literature, but they're like entertaining and they're popular because they're like fun. And there's like, the person was commenting kind of like, why does everything need to have like literary merit? Like, why can't we just like look at the things that like from an entertaining lens as well? And like, there's this like idea that the drama originally, like, it's like partly like think of the children, but also kind of this like whole gatekeeping of like who is allowed to even talk about books and literature to begin with. And it's, the criticism is tend to target it towards mostly women, because it's a lot of women who are reading these spicy books and making the content about the spicy books. And so it's once again one of those things where you can kind of put more like feminine interest down.
Yeah. In other words, it's the same thing all over again.
Yes, yes. And we have seen this on BookTube as well. We've seen this.
Yes.
Look, drama is sick, like, to paraphrase George Lucas, it's like poetry, it rhymes. It's the same thing every single fucking time on different platforms.
We already had this happen in like 2017. We had the same discourse when Sarah J. Maas started publishing the damn fairy porn books. We had this discussion back then. People were like, think of the children, think of the literature.
I mean, I read the first Akatar book. It is it is not very spicy.
Didn't you read that on a dare though?
Yeah, my sister dared me. It's not very spicy. I know like later books there's like Farah and Rhysand begging in the sky, and she like gets them off by picturing their future child.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's really fucking weird.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I have been forged in the fires of fanfiction.net and AO3, like, at this, like, anything that mainstream publishing publishes as high heat, I'm kind of like...
Yeah, no, when I say it's weird, it's more, for me, it's like, okay, the straights are not okay.
Well, that too. Like, it's also, I think, like, I go look at these drama things in like, oh, where's the tea? Let me take my popcorn. And then I come in and it's like the most vanilla thing ever. And I'm like, I'm just gonna step back, because if you knew the stuff I have been reading since I was like way too young to be reading those kinds of things, I would be like chased out of the room with fire and pitchforks.
Yeah, I will say, like, I have a feeling we're probably going to be getting like more conversation around this, because like it's just so annoying, but it is unfortunately cyclical. I don't know the Joe Arden T. Ramsey. I will say the other thing that I've seen pop up, and this is on Twitter. So there is this group, I think it's the African American Movie or African Americans on the Move book club or something, and they were doing awards. And for best publisher, they put St. Martin's Press, and a lot of people were like, they're currently under a boycott because they're not protecting the influencers working with them, and they refuse to engage with the demands. And the second was on, I think it was like Literary Advocate or something. They put Kira Lewis there, and did you guys hear about the hockey situation last year?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Huh?
What hockey situation?
About the hockey.
Oh, okay. So
I have tried to avoid. I did look up the Joe Arden controversy though.
I'm lost.
Okay, so let me briefly like recap the hockey thing. So Kira Lewis is this book talker. She's African American. She refuses to read Black books. That was like a whole thing that I heard about secondhand. And so basically she got into watching hockey through Hockey Romance, and she got attached to the Seattle Kraken. She like went to a game and was like yelling, you know, crack my back. I have like holes that you can like put stuff in. She was like essentially sexually harassing these men at their job.
Oh.
And it like led to a lot of other people participating.
There was specifically one player.
Yeah, I think it was like Adam Weinberger or something
around who was getting
and so
lot of this sort of unwanted thirst trap hockey romance girly attention.
These
and so
for sexually harassing the poor guy.
Yeah, well, so his wife, and like a very mild Instagram post, was basically like, hey, can you stop? This is really uncomfortable for us. Like, you are sexually harassing my husband and he doesn't want to say anything, so I guess I'm saying it. And Kira Lewis is like, well, why didn't you just DM? And it like spiraled from there, and it led to a lot of fallout. And so the other thing with her right now, she's currently reading the Harry Potter books, which in 2024 is a choice.
There's another drama.
So is she just
because
like a controversy booktuber now or something?
No, she's.
I mean, considering like on a complete and utter tangent, because like obviously we have not talked about the author of said books, who has recently dabbled in some nice soft Holocaust denial.
Oh, yeah, that was a thing that she did.
that was a thing that happened. I did not have that on my bingo card. But considering the trajectory that she has been going, it actually makes sense.
I'm
And
not
it's
surprised.
atrocious. Yeah, it's like disgusting at this point. And like at this point, I understand that if you have like, who hasn't grown up with the thing? Like it's like a lot of people have fond memories of those things, of the books, of the movies and stuff. And I get that. But at the same time, I'm at the point where it's like, okay, you cannot separate this person from her work because she's like fully profiting off everything. She has the theme park, she has the amusement, like everything. She's making a fuck ton of money, and she's actually like spending that money on lobbying. Yeah, because like the cast of the movies basically like went out. Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe,
Rupert Grint.
basically the golden trio went on record saying that like trans people deserve human rights, you know. Yeah.
So she like outright was just like,
She's like, I won't accept their apologies, and it's like,
yeah,
they have nothing to apologize for.
Yeah, it's bad. It like, but what like shocks me is that like people were like responding to her and saying like, hey, this is like not cool, and like they were trying to give her information on like fact check her basically. And what she ended up doing is that she basically started retweeting misinformation from this like basically an ultra-right commentator who I think used to write for Breitbart or something, and like full on like misinformation on this thread. Basically, some random white guy's Twitter thread was apparently her source for like the truth, aside from like actual historians and the damn Holocaust Center.
Yeah. Oh, so that's the thing with Kiera Lewis was she's currently reading Harry Potter, and so a lot of people are like, hey, and she was also being nominated alongside, Michael, the librarian who's now with PBS Kids, and so like actual people who are advocating for literacy and books and stuff. So yeah, it was a whole thing that I saw go down. The other drama, we didn't mention this, were you guys following the Angry Robot AI thing?
No,
I saw that it
what
had
did they
happened
do?
after the whole thing went down, so I did not see any of the
What
drama
happened?
happen live.
So Angry Robot is doing their open submission period where unagented writers can send their books or their manuscripts into the company, and there's a chance for them to get published.
Yeah.
And so when they initially announced it, they were asking people to upload their stories into this AI thing called Storywise, which would essentially be like sort them. And the way that Storywise was pitching is like, this is a way for you to weed through and find like what's good or not. And then on their website, one of the books that they said they would pass on was, I think it's Under Gold Mountain or something. It's a book that has been long listed for awards. And so people saw that and rightfully were like, hey, Angry Robot, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the hell? You live long enough to see see people become villains. God damn.
Well, and they walked it back, but it's like, I don't understand.
But you wouldn't have to walk it back if you didn't make the decision in the first place.
Why would they have thought that this would be okay?
That's my main thing. It's like
beyond
looking at how many authors are speaking out about AI and the use of AI. Like,
don't eat paper. Don't eat paper.
Like, it's wild to me that they were looking at that landscape and were like, you know what? It's totally fine for us to use something like Storywise.
No. I have completely missed the whole thing. And I follow Angry Robots. And I
This
still
was-
missed it.
So I don't know where it was on Twitter, but it was going down on Blue Sky.
Oh, okay. I'm not on Blue Sky yet.
You should be on Blues. Like I don't check it very often, but a lot of publishing folks ended up there.
I know it's the place to be, and I just really don't want to add another social media.
Mm,
Okay, so
that's why
final
I'm not
bit is-
on Threads.
because I think we're going to try and wrap up early. The final bit of drama that I have, I feel like I'm the person who has all the drama. Sorry.
You are, because you're on Blue Sky.
And also I'm too chronically online. No, so this one did not come to me from Blue Sky. So flashback to late last year. Who here remembers James Somerton?
Yes.
Oh, him.
Him. Yes. I do.
So
He came back.
Somebody remind me.
He's the
was
queer YouTuber
plagiarism
who was
guy.
accused of plagiarizing a ton of stuff. Nuked
Oh, that guy. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
H.
he
Bomberger
had
did a 3-hour video on him. Like 4 hours or so.
4 hours, yeah. So he had posted like this new attempt to come back, and people were like, hey, you haven't made amends, you haven't done any sort of reparations, atonement, like what are you doing? And so he posted what was interpreted as a suicide note. He's alive, like people were checking on him. So earlier this week, my sister sends me this Facebook screenshot of a Facebook group, and there is someone asking, being like, hey everyone, I hope it's okay to post here. I'm a video producer who just moved back from Toronto, and I'm looking to start a production company in
This is
the
in
Canada,
Canada.
Halifax Regional Municipality, focused on
Okay.
commercials, online ads, things like that. So I wanted to offer my services for little or no cost to any queer run or own business in HRM. Hit me up if you're interested.
Oh no.
It's not under the name James Somerton, but if you look at the photo, I am like 90% certain it's him. So because he's originally from Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Because like when it originally went down, I asked my sisters like, hey, like you're involved in the Halifax queer community. Like, did you know this guy? And they were like, no, I didn't know him. I don't think any of my friends really knew him.
Yeah.
So they sent it to me. I'm not in this group, but apparently someone did ask like, hey, so weird question, but are you James Somerton? And
Oh,
he
no.
never responded.
Oh no! Oh no! So isn't this like the second time he's trying to? Because he did the whole apology video quite soon
Yeah.
after, and that backfired on him. And then he came back with another apology video. Has he made another apology video since the second attempt to come
No.
back? Okay. But he,
No, so
he
yeah,
did
this was just,
reopen his Patreon and stuff.
Yeah. So this was just something where like I saw it and I'm like, oh my God.
So, I got curious because Ramsey said something about the Joe Arden thing, and I have no idea who it is. So I looked it up, and apparently Joe Arden is a romance audiobook narrator.
Oh, is this
And
the guy who's-
apparently he has been having some improper behavior with his fans. And then also apparently took a bunch of donations to start a nonprofit, basically trying to give starting audiobook like performers and voice actors better recording equipment, and then basically ran with the money.
Oh dear.
I think I like heard rumblings of that, but I'm like not plugged into that side of the book community, so I
Yeah,
didn't...
this is what happens when like we are not like I think Kelsey, are you in TikTok?
I'm not on TikTok, but I hear about a lot of the drama through one of my
Kelsey is
servers.
like the only one of us who is clued into TikTok.
I am on TikTok.
Sunshine.
I don't see a ton of like book talk content from people I don't follow. Mostly it shows me cats.
That's the best. Cats can't radicalize you, except into socialism,
And like occasionally
as they should.
other animals.
I was gonna say, I do miss Jorts on Twitter.
Jorts is still around.
I know, but I don't check Twitter anymore. And
Yeah, like if Twitter is just bad for the soul.
yeah,
The problem is that one, I don't do threads. And two, but there's like currently no real alternative to sports Twitter because like Blue Sky doesn't allow GIFs or videos yet. And like you need
So
that for
annoying.
sports.
yeah.
So like if I want any like conversation, drama, or whatever with sports, I'm still gonna be on Twitter.
Poor Di.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the drama. Oh, we had a whole section for drama today, didn't we? That
We
was
did.
good. That doesn't happen often. Except well,
It's because we finished everything else with a whole hour still to go.
yeah, and also like I mean we talk about drama. We've been talking about the damn Hugo drama for forever.
Yeah.
Because it was just a gift that kept on giving, a trash fire in perpetual fire.
Terrible gift
Terrible.
that nobody
It was-
asked for.
It was like Lake Erie.
I would say Lake Erie. It's like that cursed lake in Georgia.
There's
No, there's a lake in Georgia that is like legitimately cursed, and like you don't go like people die in that.
How
lake
many
all the time.
bodies are there?
See, I will admit that my understanding of Lake Erie comes from the 1994 movie The Crow, starring Brandon Lee, where they mention that I once saw Lake Erie catch fire, and I took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's if it actually is so polluted that it like catches fire.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap up a little bit early because I know some folks here needed to finish early. So let's talk about where folks can find us and what we have next. So Rhea, why don't you go first?
You can find me on YouTube apparently now. Hopefully I will be making more content. I did release a book haul, and hopefully as I'm reading the Hugo nominees, then I will start doing the ranking videos for the Hugos. And Goodreads, basically. I have privated most of my other social media, and I'm not on Twitter anymore. So Goodreads and YouTube are probably the best places to find me outside of these live streams.
Kelsey?
You can find me on YouTube and TikTok as the Fancy Hat Lady Reads. You can find Sunshine on Instagram as the Fancy Cat Lady Reads. You can find me on Mastodon for the sorts of updates of like when these live streams are coming up and other life updates.
Rachel?
You can find me here in the live shows, and I am still on Instagram as Colonati Books, and I am on Blue Sky as Colonati, but I don't post a lot there yet.
And you can find me at Bookish Die on Twitter, YouTube, and Blue Sky. I am technically on Instagram, but I don't really use it all that much. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us, and we will be on Rachel's channel next month.
Yes.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.